What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction. Back with a new journey, though it's one that's been waiting for a while, and in fact it's been waiting for so long that I don't actually remember who sent me the Chameleons material. So they're from Manchester, so there's a few usual suspects I might think would be involved here, but either way, I apologize for not remembering clearly, and I thank those who have shared music with me in generally, and the Chameleons here specifically. But yes, as I mentioned, I'm trying to catch up on material that was shared a while ago or made available on a drive somewhere or attached in an email, and part of that catching up process is trying to sort out where everything came from. Nevertheless, I looked on Discogs, and the Chameleons are apparently a group from the Manchester area that began in the early 80s, and in fact I was all ready to react to a 1983, I think, debut album. What is it? Script of the Bridge? Do I have that correctly? And the first tune of the album is Don't Fall. Yes, Script of the Bridge. But then I discovered that there's an EP from 82 called In Shreds. And I had in a folder where I download things an individual file for the track In Shreds. So yes, apparently this is an earlier EP before the first proper album, and we're going to listen to the title track In Shreds, which is interesting because the phrase would generally suggest something that has formerly been whole and complete but now is torn, ripped, or otherwise shredded such that it exists in a dilapidated or otherwise destroyed form, and perhaps is therefore lacking the integrity or the completion that it used to have. So it sounds like something which has been damaged and harmed, although of course it may relate more to its function or role than the integrity of the entity in itself. Now, if that's someone's heart, if that's someone's emotion, then certainly it's both. It's the process that led to it being torn and its incomplete nature as it may relate to the feeling and further existence of the person in question. So yes, I do wonder what to make of it. Of course, I'm reacting to them for the first time, so I don't really have a sense of their songwriting yet, but yeah, I will note that on Discogs they were listed as being in the post-punk / new wave vein, so we'll see what that is in practice. And of course, labels are imprecise descriptions of things which are always more complicated or nuanced in practice. So let's give it a listen. And once again, shout out to whoever shared the Chameleons with me. Hopefully you'll comment on this first video, and I'm sure at that point it'll be like, oh right, I do recall. So yes, this is the Chameleons. The track is In Shreds, and it's the title tune of their 1982 EP of the same name. must I say to that? Wow, that's awesome. Number one, it very much has an early 80s raw punk vibe to it, but mixed with a bit of like very early Cure sound, some of the guitar work and just the like post-punk feel. I'd say maybe like very early Joy Division when they were Warsaw, which I'm saying with very little experience. But the first couple tracks I listened to from them, they had a similar raw, gritty, like guitar-driven post-punk type of feel. Maybe the very early Echo and the Bunnymen stuff, which again has a bit of this raw post-punk vibe to it. So yeah, whenever I listen to a group for the first time, my brain makes associations which, if people don't always like the other bands I'm referencing, then I worry they may, not appreciate the comparison. But it's just the way my brain works when I'm hearing something for the first time. But love the raw intensity, vocally especially. It had a bit of a punk vibe. The drum work was very like powerful and frenetic, though again sort of in that raw old school recording type of sound. And yes, it sounds like he himself is in shreds. What was the line? Like, in shreds looking down at the street. There's a hole in his bed. There's a noise in his head. So it's like everything is incomplete or has a bug in the system or an error from the way that it's supposed to be functioning. But it sounds like he's maybe resigning himself to that, acknowledging that he is incomplete, and perhaps even being defiant about it, which would be a very punk rock type of ethos to hold. So the world is imperfect, emotions are torn and ripped, but you're still, shouting your defiance of that state to, whoever will listen. So I don't know if I'm hearing all the lines correctly, and I was really just sort of captured by the guitars, which had a melancholy to them. There was an intensity, but also this like weighted down heavy feeling, which again, early Cure very much has that vibe. So maybe that's in particular why I'm making that comparison. But yeah, I loved it. A really compelling opener, and the attitude of the song and the band very much came through. So ultimately, in the moment, I don't know if I have the other track on the EP. I looked it up, as I said, on Discogs, and there's 2 tracks in the EP, but I only noticed this individual file when I was going through my like large download folder. But I absolutely have Script of the Bridge, so at the very least I'll be able to go to that first proper album next time. As I said, thank you to everyone who shared music. Thank you to everyone who's still here even after waiting a while for me to get around to things. Thank you to whoever specifically sent me the Chameleons. I think I'm going to very much enjoy this journey, so let me know what you think of the tune, and I will see you next time. Peace.